Joining us in studio is the founder and president of Endangered Species International, Pierre Findenci. Good to have you with us, Pierre.
Thank you for having me.
Certainly. Well, let's jump right in and introduce you to the Bay Area. Pierre, what is Endangered Species International?
Well, it's an international non-profit organization based in San Francisco.
Okay.
And the mission is to reverse the trend of species extinction. So there's so many species around the world like becoming extinct.
True.
Including, the destruction of the habitat. So the goal is to reverse that and to protect endangered species from becoming extinct.
I can tell you, listeners, looking at his website, it was an eye-opener. 16,000 species are scheduled to become extinct. Pierre, how did this get started, though?
I started in a very young age, and I travel a lot.
You lucky person.
Lucky person, but also I observe and experience dramatic changes over the years, even if I go to the same place over the years.
Okay.
And that was an alarming call for me to see that the environment is changing rapidly.
Oh, yes.
And at the same time, we are losing the biodiversity. The biodiversity that is actually the core of our society. We need the biodiversity as a survival, as a species.
What drew you to this, if I might say, rather daunting endeavor? Was it just the travel, or what is your background?
Well, it's not only the travel. Since I was very young, I was already fascinated by nature.
Okay.
Snakes, turtles, frogs. I was always going into the creeks, looking at frogs. So I was very fascinated by life, life around us. That's how it started. And of course, I was very curious about the rest of the world, the rainforest, where most of the biodiversity is. I mean, it's very much richer than our than in Northern America or in Europe or those places, and this is where also it's more needed for the work, because there's more threatened species.
Well, let's give our listeners a sample project so they understand exactly what it is you do. Now, I noticed on your website, and one that's near and dear to my heart, the turtles of Palawan in the Philippines. Tell us how it is you go in, assess the situation, what is it you do, how do you stop a species from becoming extinct?
First of all, you have to meet the people who live where you want to work. So basically, the turtle we are working in the Philippines, it's a species that's going to become extinct. We have to go there and meet first the locals, the indigenous people, and discuss with them our project. Because our project is probably not their project.
That's true. Your ideal may not be theirs.
That's right.
Be three meals a day.
Exactly. So we are trained to, first of all, match our priorities. We have priorities as an NGO. Also, our NGO is based with local people, but also they have their own priorities, which is probably depends of the people, of course, the groups, not cutting down the forest. Closing the forest from people, coming in, immigrants. That could be a food issue, some health issues with malaria. So everybody has a different priority, and we're trying to match our priority and their priority together to build a project. Like this, we can succeed.
That makes sense. Now, Pierre, in the case of the turtles of the Philippines in Palawan, what is causing them to be extinct? Is it overfishing? Is it a collection of the eggs? Is the meat considered prized? What is the issue?
Right. There is a few issues in the species that we're working. It's a freshwater turtle that is only found in the rainforest, and also they use creeks, small creeks. So the main issue is deforestation. Yes. The second issue we have is illegal pet trade. So people collect those species, those turtles, and sell them in Europe, in Japan, for a very high price. And the third one would be pollution.
Pollution.
Yeah.
And the deforestation, that's just the harvesting of the timber for resale. Is that what they're using it for?
Right. Logging, exactly. Logging, and also transforming land into agricultural lands for rice paddies and things like that.
I think, listeners, what you're hearing here is the real dichotomy of needs. What Pierre is trying to do is save a turtle, the biodiversity that is so crucial in the world. Yet what the locals might be seeing it as is, I need to clear the land, hopefully resell the timber, turn that land into agriculture and provide for my family. So you can see why local support is so essential. Turning again to the turtles of the Philippines, how have you done?
Well, we have made some considerable progress since we started our project.
And how many years ago did you start this one?
Almost 3 years. First, we had to find where the turtles was still found because we didn't know. So we know now where the turtles are.
Okay.
So from those places, we are starting already to engage the creation of reserves.
Mm-hmm.
We already have engaged some local partnership where the local community will be in charge of managing and preserving the habitat.
Okay.
Okay. At the same time, so we're trying to develop is some ecotourism.
Mm-hmm.
So right now we are in connection where we would like to bring some local schools,
Mm-hmm.
but also the tourists from other countries to visit the reserve and to discover that species of turtle that is unique because it's only found in one island in the entire world.
Wow.
In Palawan Island.
Uh-huh.
So this is extremely unique. So we are trying to use that uniqueness, to draw the people and also to create a core conservation habitat. So we're trying to protect the forest. At the same time, to just give you another example,
Mm-hmm.
we only use now solar energy.
Solar energy. Good show.
So even if we go in the field and we need to recharge our batteries for the cameras or anything, we have portable solar power. Solar powers, yeah.
Solar power. We have plenty of endangered species in the United States. What are you doing in California?
Well, we have right now it's a big project called the amphibian decline. So basically, amphibians around the world and in California in particular are declining.
Really? What amphibian in California is affected?
So I'll give you an example. The California red-legged frogs, the hood-hill yellow-legged frogs, the two species are found within the Bay Area. We are working on creating this big conservation awareness program.
Okay.
And we're going to produce posters and innovative programs to make people more aware about this issue because it's definitely a large issue. 1 in 4 amphibians are threatened to disappear forever.
I know you have some future projects coming up.
In the island that we were working, we have 3 major indigenous groups, and those indigenous groups are also vanishing, their culture. It's
really
alarming, and it's also for us and for me also, it's extremely important to save and help those in needs, especially the indigenous people.
I gotta say, listeners, it's very commendable. As I said in the last part, this is environmental justice and social justice at its finest. I think Pierre's got both of these down to a fine point. How do you save somebody's cultural identity? I've seen it in the United States where the Eskimos, the Indians, are getting absorbed into mainstream. How do you preserve that cultural identity?
Let's take the case of Palawan Island in southern Philippines where we work.
Yes.
We work with a group, it's called the Taubato. They call it the rock people because they still live in caves.
Wow.
In mountains, on the rainforest, inside the caves.
Okay.
This group, they have less than 30 families left.
Wow.
Okay, so they have, in terms of number,
that's certainly small.
So we work with an anthropologist, very famous from France, who have been studying those groups very well, although for quite a while now.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're doing exactly is we are trying to enforce the rules, the policies that have been placed quite a while ago, which is, for example, there are a lot of people who get into the land illegally, cut the trees, or to see them as, curiosity, but it's not a zoo, let's face it.
Exactly, they're people.
They are people, exactly. So we are trying our best to enforce that, and through also more education.
Yes.
Because there is a huge lack of education, and there is education in the lowland part of the Philippines, where people think that indigenous people are inferior people. So there's a lot of educational process to do. So we're working a lot in educational first, and to change that that ideas that people have, towards the indigenous people, those who live truly with nature.
Pierre, what do you want our listeners to do?
Well, as any other groups, of course, we all need fundings. So we'll ask some people if that would be great if you could help us with some fundings. And I can guarantee that the money will go directly to the field and will have a great difference.
Final question for you, Pierre. What really matters?
What really matters for me, it's definitely, and for all of us, I think, it's our environment and the people. So we need to preserve what we have left and also to work all together for have a better life.